Hey again, welcome back to second part or the second version. So today we're going to go over the Susanoo, the Thunder Flash. She's going to be a Doom, Celestial and a Protector, basically what Babylon is, except she's going to be a Celestial instead of a Deviant. She's also, funnily enough, has a part of the Babylon's kit in her. She also has part of the Arthur, part of the Behemoth, and also some kind of weird version of Doris legendary runes in her kit. Now, she's also a mix of few old good heroes in one, so again, lack of ideas is kind of showing, unfortunately, because we know Susanoo is going to be broken because she's better version of the older heroes. Even though they're not older like Babylon, it doesn't mean she will replace Babylon, it will mean she's going to be as strong or equally there. So to start off, Susanoo's ultimate is Lightning Rush, attacks all enemies, and same goes for the Thunder Lens, which is her second skill, attacks all enemies. Pretty good, we love the heroes with area skills, they're one of the best because hitting all enemies means hitting all of the holy shields down and having a higher chance of killing them. So overall, the good skills are there. We don't see the multipliers, but you can assume they're going to be low because it hits all enemies. So to go with the passive, Thunder Diffraction at 6 to 8 stars grants Doomslayer synergy a 50 to 100% chance to trigger an additional time. This very likely refers to only the Doom synergy, not the Relic Doom synergy, not the other third reflect, which comes from, I forgot where, the Doris runes, I believe. So there's two types of reflects, the heroes, the relics, and the base one, and as well as Doris one, so it's actually 4, I believe. And this one actually just refers to Doom's relic synergy, I believe. So we will see how it's coded to actually test, but the text strictly says this. So each time enemies take action, they take damage equal to allies team reflect, blah blah blah. This is the reflect that usually kills you in your PvE stages, so you see your heroes dying even if they didn't take action. Well, that's because the Doom reflect happens before they take action, so they don't even have to animate their action, they just simply die. So that's this kind of reflect. This hero would be pretty insane in PvE stages, causing a lot of trouble to those without the holy shields or insane HP stats, but even then it could probably kill you just because the PvE Dooms are so HP stacked that this would effect actually just kill you instantly. So could be a really good hero on the enemy team for the PvE stages, but I don't think that will ever happen, unfortunately. But for the PvP, so what does this do? You obviously want it at 100%. This is like comparing the Doris runes, for example. Let's take a look at Doris. So this is the same effect as Doris runes. So at yellows or epics, it's just 60 to 33% chance, but at legendary, it's 100%. So this is basically Doris runes. The reflect will trigger twice. So when Doris is deployed, the reflect damage of Dooms is increased by 100%, and there's a 100% chance to dealing additional reflect damage when the enemy takes action. So you will be able to reflect 3 times enemies on their action, which is going to be absolutely nuts if this stacks together. So with Susanoo, Doris and the base reflect of the Dooms, this is going to be absolutely crazy strong. Doris might make an insane comeback, but we have yet to see how it's coded actually, and if it also works on the relics and every other type of Doom reflect, then it's going to be absolutely bonkers. But even if it doesn't, just the pure additional reflect on the Dooms is actually insane. Now she's a protector, so this kit, or rather this part of the kit, doesn't really scream protectorish to me. It's basically just Dooms. So I'm not sure if you will be able to run her with either of the Protector Ethereals or Protector Valianters or a mix of either. You probably won't, because she seems she likes the Dooms most. So she's kind of like Babylon, even though they're both Protectors, they simply can't live without the Monarchs. And we might make a comeback with the Merlin or Halissa, because they're also Monarchs, which could be fillers. So we can have 3 Monarchs activated, or 4 if you are trying to survive the Phoenix Execute, and etc. But overall, we could have a comeback of these Monarchs right here to actually fit one in the Babylons and the one in the Susanoo's team. Or we will end up running all of them together, we will see. Obviously, this is just theory talk. But yeah, overall a really strong passive at 8 stars, and I do suspect in PvP this is going to be insane. In PvE this won't do absolutely anything. At 8 stars Susanoo is going to be useless. The Thunderous Divinity, so at 7 to 9 stars after an enemy takes action, if an ally is affected by a control effect, Susanoo dispels the effect and retaliates with her ultimate. dealing 100% to 300% damage. This triggers 1 to 2 times per round, so probably at 7 to 9 stars. Well, exactly like that, because at 11 stars we know the passive effect is just a conversion. So therefore this will be really good at 9 stars. You will definitely want it at 9 stars. But this is also just yet another Arthur effect. This is what Arthur does. So when Arthur is deployed, he basically has chance to reflect back any debuffs received back to the caster. So 24% chance, actually at 50 at this 7 stars mark. So overall it's an Arthur effect given her, and this is really good if it can basically remove, actually Arthur is the debuff, but he can also remove the controls, I believe, but I'm not sure. So control effect is not that amazing, because control effect is taunt, stun, and taunt might be good, but yet again the dooms don't necessarily care for taunt because the reflect happens regardless whether they're stunned or whether they're not. So the only thing is it's just the dispel and the basically retaliation that matters. So her ult, as again says, attacks all enemies, and if she is the one that retaliate, which I don't believe. I believe this is a translation issue. I believe it will be the hero that his controlled effect is basically going to retaliate, but let's stick with this. Let's say that Susanoo actually is the one making the ultimate, which is good because her increased damage on top of the attack all enemies is going to be strong. But if it's the hero that is CC'd, that could be someone like Merlin, and Merlin ulting is nothing really impressive apart from receiving 2 stacks of reflect booster team. But yeah, you can see where this is going. But let's stick with the scenario that it's Susanoo going to be the one doing the ultimate. So overall, this at 9 stars sounds pretty good. The 2 additional ultimates from Susanoo could be really helpful. She doesn't really provide any sustain to dooms apart from this one right here. So Omniheroes at 8, 10 and 12 stars, each Doomslayer synergy trigger increases allies damage boost by 10% to 30% and damage reduction by same amount of Gaia. So each Doomslayer synergy trigger is really iffy. It might be good, it might be horrible depending on how they code it, but it's basically 5 per round because there's only 5 action and there's 5 times you can reflect an enemy back, unless this part of the kit actually doubles that. So it's, instead of going to be once per hero, it will count as 2, and then when you deploy Doris it might be 3, so that's actually 15 per round, which could be insane. But if it doesn't, and I have a feeling it won't, I believe this will be limited to 5 times per round, which is not going to be all that amazing because most of the fights will tend to end before the 4th round even begins. And that's mostly without Lucifer, but if you have Lucifer, your dooms will likely live to the 15 rounds, and especially at 8 synergy, but even then 8 synergy of dooms is pretty RNG. I do run it, but you only have chance to increase the HP instead of the basically guaranteeing it like most heroes like Ethereals do. And the only survival she brings to the team is this. The PvP effect of Outforce is when Doomslayer synergy damage triggers, allies have 33 to 100% chance to gain 1 stack of Holy Shields. Obviously this is going to be 33 to 66 to 100% at 8, 10 and 12 stars. So I hope it increases to 3 at the max instead of just 1, because only increasing the chance doesn't seem right. I do wish it was 1, 2 to 3 per the synergy trigger, and if it's not, maybe it's because they will actually count this as 2, so it will be actually 2 Holy Shields or with Doris 3. But again, I believe Susanoo is a very big iffy unit. I believe she does requires a lot of testing to be properly good and properly commented on, because without that we don't know much. We know that she's going to be strong just because she's a Doom hero and she will bring the +2 Dooms, and she's also Celestials, which Dooms do need the most because majority of the Celestial Dooms are pretty much benched, such as the Dahlia, such as the Talos, Madeline, and yeah, you don't even have any other Celestial Dooms that are actually good because most of them are pretty much deviants. Therefore, a good addition to the Dooms. Wish she was another synergy apart from the Protector. Even a Phantom would be good, but unfortunately she's not. So overall, I believe she's going to be really strong in PvP, but her PV is really lackluster. I don't see anything in here that could be good for the PvE apart from this damage boost, but we already have Gaia, we already have the hero above, which is Asmodeus, for this effect, so therefore it's not really needed for Dooms, because even the triggering, or rather having to trigger this in PvE is going to be a lot of trouble. Therefore, the Susanoo seems mostly and only PvP hero similar to Hera was in the current season, so therefore it's probably not going to be wise to spend on her unless she's mandatory for Rift Odyssey and unless she's basically somehow good in PvE, which I don't see. Her rune effect is synergy damage is increased by 100 to 200%. Additionally, each damage instance ally speed is 1 to 3 increased. This effect right here, horrible. This effect right here, really amazing, really good, and you will want it. Additionally, speed increase is terrible. You will want to run Susanoo with Dooms most of the times, but if you don't, the speed will matter. But Dooms, for Dooms, you want Dooms to be as slow as possible because you don't want them taking action most of the times, especially in the mirror actually. In other times they can be faster, it won't hurt you a lot because this is after all a slow increase, but yeah, overall it might be good, it might be not. The 1 to 3 speed will matter eventually, but in the mirrors, the one that basically takes the action first will die first. That's how usually the Doom matches go. So that's why you will not want the speed increase, and yeah. However, it might open up possibility of Behemoth going to another team, or it might open up possibility of creating a second Dooms team that is stronger. Well, the two Doom teams already exist, but they're not strong enough to be mentioned or competitive in the Foggy. However, we might get a second Doom teams because, as I said, all of the seasonal heroes are just basically copy-pasting the previous seasonal heroes that were OP and are OP. So therefore, Susanoo will probably see the meta in PvP. However, she's not going to be game-changing for them, but she will be a nice fit to the Dooms regardless of that. Overall, I'm expecting her PvP tier to be S+, and I'm expecting her PvE tier to be like A+, and probably useless, so don't worry about PvE. As for the Asmodeus, I forgot to say, but I do believe her PvE is going to be great. Maybe I did mention it actually because of the crit. So the Corrode is actually already good in PvE, especially the high stages of Palace of Penrose, but apart from that, she's also a better Gaia, therefore, yeah, I actually did mention it, I just forgot. So yeah, overall, Asmodeus seems better than the Susanoo right now in the overall tier, but we will see what Izanami brings to the table. And apart from that, for PvP, I do believe both are pretty similar, and for PvE, the Asmodeus wins any day. Thank you for watching, and obviously this is just theory talk, so don't take everything for granted. Everything can be tested later on, and everything will be tested later on, and we will see how heroes actually work. So thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next one.